What's going on, guys? What's the deal? Sports Zach Deal back here again with another episode of Cold on the Canvas MMA podcast. We got episode 9 today. We got a very special fighter on today. We got Mike O'Brien from Dante Rivera's BJJ gym. Is there another gym you're also associated with too? Because I know you guys, kind of train all over too. But is that the main gym that you train out of?
Yeah, that's the main gym I train out of, fight out of too.
All right, cool. I just want to make sure I'm, dotting in all my I's and crossing all my T's and everything. But this dude is known for his slick grappling and jiu-jitsu, longtime wrestler. So with that being said, what was your first experience with fighting in MMA? I know we'll get to it in a little bit. You do have some resources directly in your family that we can talk about that you look up to. But as for wrestling, you talked about having an extensive wrestling background. Can you just speak on that a little bit?
So my first experience in MMA, being a wrestler, 20-year wrestler, was more like a worried feeling. You know what I mean? You step in the gym, I'm not trying to get hit. I know I don't have good hands right away. My brother is a good striker. My roommate was a good striker, Nick Galanti, so they were on my shoulders yo, you got to focus on your hands, So I feel like right away I was able to start blending at least the striking with my grappling, or trying to, faster than other wrestlers coming in. Uh, the importance of cage wrestling at the gym and striking into cage wrestling, that was what I harped on when I first got in.
Can you explain the difference between actual MMA and cage specific wrestling too? Wrestling that you were experienced growing up and kind of the growing pains that you may have had with the differences between the two?
100%. It's I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. You see the highest level of wrestlers coming in to MMA now and struggling a little bit because you don't use 90% of the moves. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
use your single, your double, upper body wrestling a lot, which is my favorite. But other than that, it's really just the pace, the pressure, relentless, the relentless aspect of wrestling. You shoot, you miss, you're tired, but you still shoot to the legs, but it's nothing flashy. So,
Yeah.
and I'm a flashy wrestler. I try to make my jujitsu flashy now because I'm not as flashy of a wrestler. You can't really be in MMA.
Yeah.
And
You can't just go out there and jump at somebody and ankle pick them because a knee could be catching you at some point in time, or you can get soccer kicked before your hands are on the ground. They switch the rules in MMA between two with the hands down and all that stuff. Every commission is different of what they regulate as well, and it's you can get caught extremely easy. You know what I mean in those situations.
and you have dudes that weren't as good at wrestling before, but once they get the cage, it's another leg to them, and they're good strikers. All they need to do is keep you off the mat, and they're better at that aspect of it, using the wall to defend these shots. Taller guys, you know what I mean? They're harder to take down. If the chain wrestling's not the same. With what you said before, you could catch a knee. My boy Sydney, I was trying to cross grain and do some flashy wrestling with him last camp while I was sparring, and I shot on his one leg and tried to instantly cross grain to the other leg, and he kneed me in the face. And
Yeah.
I'm oh, you really can't just start mixing it up with the grappling. You could get caught at any point. So
Yeah, I
that's
saw that. I saw DDP do that to Usman, who Usman's one of the best, MMA wrestlers that there's ever been. And I saw DDP was kind of sitting on the back foot waiting for that and kind of, and we saw the result of that fight. So it's just a whole different ball game. And that's just me speaking from the outside. But it just seems like all these wrestlers come in and, they kind of, like you said, they kind of are so much focused on striking itself and trying to build that repertoire. But there's also a subdivision of wrestling that needs to be worked on, as in being a high level wrestler and what you can actually do in MMA cage with high level wrestling.
I say you need to I feel I needed to fully relearn what attacks I was going to use for wrestling.
Yeah.
If you were watching my high school wrestling matches, there's a lot of funk, the upper body stays the same, but I never shot. I was never shooting on kids. I had a high stance where I was almost giving people my legs to try to incite a scramble, but it's like I'm the wrestler. So if I'm going with the striker, I need to shoot. Like if I have my
Yeah,
leg out and I'm inviting somebody, that doesn't mean they're gonna take it, you know. So
yeah,
I had to do a 180 and just add a bunch of different attacks that I wasn't used to using, you know.
yeah. And when did you start wrestling?
I started wrestling when I was 4.
Oh,
So
so that was just it's almost like second nature to you at this point now. It's just like breathing.
yeah, so my brother started like a year before me. He was like 5 or 6. I remember I started. I thought it was like WWE. Like tried to hit
Yeah.
some kids, got yelled at a little bit. You know, our whole family does though. My little brother's 4 years younger than me. He's college wrestler right now. So we kept it in the family. We compete within each other. You know,
Yeah, that's awesome that you have brothers as well too. What's the difference in age between you and your older brother?
4 years as well.
4 years as well. So it's like, you graduate from wrestling in some sense of like, the 4 year progression of like high school and college and stuff. And it's like you just pass the baton and the torch down and kind of everybody has the same correlating information. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like as soon as my older brother got out, I was in high school, and then as soon
Yeah.
as I got out, my little brother started his career.
That
So
probably puts a lot of expectations on the family though too. Is like, everybody kind of goes through the revolving door, you get out, and then the next era of the family gets ushered in, and it's kind of like, they expect you to be great just because you have had brothers and you kind of pass the torch down, like I said. So that's definitely awesome. But MMA wise, were you a fan of MMA growing up too as a wrestler, or what was like your first experience of like watching MMA not as a fighter?
so this is what's I've always been a fan of fighting and like
Yeah,
MMA, but I was like an angry kid. Like when I would lose my matches, at least later in life, instead of like crying and being upset about it, I would be like, but I'll beat that mother. Like
yeah,
but if we fought, like I would get him. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I never fought. I was just talking out of my butt. You know.
yeah,
But no, I think I didn't really watch as much as some other people that got into it, but I always wanted to fight. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it was always something in my head. I have favorite fighters in like time periods where I would watch it more often, but I wasn't as like there like you or like some of the other kids at the gym. Like they could rattle off like if you say like what type of finish it was with the submission, they'll be able to tell you the two fighters. I'm not like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I got in the game a little bit later myself too. That's why I'm so fortunate to have people like you on the podcast. I always talk about it. I bring it up pretty much every episode about like the Dana White looking for a fight. That's kind of like on YouTube during COVID. I got into it like heavily, and I wasn't even watching it like during Prime Connor or like Anderson Silva. You know what I mean? But then I bought the UFC Fight Pass and just went through the catalog on some sicko stuff, and then just like that kind of just like built up my love for it. And I just started having to research more. I remember another moment I've talked about a couple times too, where I was on YouTube and I think it was on The Ultimate Fighter when Tony Ferguson was on his back and he landed that up kick knockout. And I
Yeah.
was like, yo, the second I saw that clip, and obviously Tony's one of the most legendary fighters that there's ever been. I saw that clip and I was like, dude, I got to start figuring out the sport, like however it is, whether I don't really know if I had the courage to get in the cage like that or anything. But as for what this sport provides, like excitement wise, and just like, the overall rush as a sports fan, like I got to find myself somewhere in this space.
Yeah, I think like what intrigues me about MMA, and Khabib said this at practice the other day. He was telling the team, he was like, you should get good at chess. Or maybe it might not have been him, it might have been uh another coach, but was talking about the importance of chess and like being good at like that way of thinking. And I love chess. Like I like MMA for that reason. Like if I do this, my opponent's gonna do this. And like
Yeah.
if I do this, I know I give them like these three options. So if he does this, I'm gonna have this as part of my game plan. And if he does it, that's what intrigues me about it, MMA. It's like almost like a puzzle, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And you talked about in your wrestling career too, as where you kind of like give up certain stuff to allow to invite somebody in to do something, but you also know what the counter move that you are. And we've seen, we bring up obviously Habib and we bring up Connor. Connor's a very good counter striker, but when you have somebody like Habib putting the pressure on you, that's where like styles make fights. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what the interest of the game is in itself. So yeah, that's definitely
And
awesome
those are
too.
situations like that are like stuff that motivates me too, because it's like I'm a 20-year wrestler. I always say this, like I'm never gonna catch up to a 20-year striker, you know.
Yeah.
But then you watch like the Khabib Conor fight, and he cracked him on the feet.
Yeah, hit him with that
So,
overhand, and it just
yeah,
like had him stumbling, running backwards. Yeah.
yeah. So that stuff like that
My
motivates me.
favorite, my favorite example is that too. Is we talked about Usman a little bit when Usman hit. I love Masvidal, but when Usman hit Masvidal with that strike and literally his chin touched his shoulder and he went to bed immediately, I was like, oh my goodness. That was when Usman was like the cream, the cream, the cream of the crop. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Everyone's like, oh, his knees don't work, this, that, trying to make every excuse in the book why Usman's not the best fighter in the world. And he was at the time the best fighter in the world. And he just kept proving it with moments like that.
yeah. I go to a lot of wrestlers for like who I'm gonna base my style off of, you know, but I also have a unique wrestling style, so it's hard. Like
Yeah.
I'm a very upper body based wrestler. I don't see it as somebody like Pat. I know we were talking about him before this started, but he's
Yeah.
got that sambo background. So me being able to move with him on Mondays for cage wrestling and my build up for my fight, like gave me such a clear mindset, because it's like I'm comparing my upper body wrestling to Pat Sabatini. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
Like
I was getting in my bag a little bit too, because I've been repping Pat for a while. I don't know him personally, but I know obviously associations of people with him. And in the Gomez fight recently, people, even the broadcast team was kind of saying it was a
I was
boring
getting
fight and
mad.
everything. And I'm like, dude, like Pat is just absolutely dominating him to the point where this
Yeah,
dude is giving him literally nothing to offer at all in the fight. And I thought until recently when they switched the two different rankings of between the UFC and he got all the way up to number 7, I'm like, bro, his only significant bad loss is to a dude that has fought for the title 2
yeah,
times
Diego
versus one of the
Lopez.
greatest. Yeah, it's like these only significant loss. It's like you guys hold these guys to such an outrageous pedestal. And it's like, dude, the only his worst moment is versus one of the best fighters in the entire world.
I was getting so angry listening to the broadcast for the
Yeah,
Pat Sabatini Gomez, because it seems like, and I don't want to, like, I can't start throwing out accusations and stuff now, but I talk to my brother about this a lot when it comes to, because it affects how people fight too, right?
yeah,
Like if you're pushing for like these exciting finishes and like for somebody to fight out of character and they do, and then they get knocked out, like they have such a negative like impact from that, you know?
yeah,
But that the Pat fight, what did he do to like get out from against the cage? Like that's getting
exactly,
control of the whole.
exactly.
Like everybody wants to critique the wrestler, but like, how about if the wrestler's waiting for you to like put yourself in a bad position to like exploit that and tap you out or like
Yeah.
transition to a better position. So if you're not moving and they're not moving, why is it always the wrestler being boring? You
And
know?
I love my boy just like everybody else does, Joe Rogan, one of the most legendary dudes. He talks about it on his podcast, which I've listened to almost 2,000 episodes of. You can go down my catalog of how many I've listened to. He talks about being the basketball court or whatever he talks about, the openness of like a non-octagon fight where if you get put on the ground, you stay there and the fight starts there.
Yeah.
There's no rounds and all that stuff. But in that fight, he's also saying that there's no progression of that. And I'm like, that's the most hypocritical statement that you can possibly say from what you were saying on your podcast.
And then again, it's like I don't want to be speaking out of place, but then some of these other countries, right? Like American fans have favorite fighters outside of the country, but like when the UFC does these events at other countries, all of their fans vote for the people of their country, you know?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
a lot of the European, like Russian the wrestlers that do that, their fan base loves it, so they don't get scrutiny on it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to, like I'm gonna
Well,
always ride for
that's
my.
just based off of like that's the culture of like how they fight. Like
Yeah,
it's like we know if you're from Dagestan and you're from Russia, we know you're going to be gripping people up too. But we also see like you know, people that are also able to strike like that. I'm forgetting the dude's name. It was like Usman Nurmagomedov is one of the better strikers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, you know, it's not just because you come from like this background or whatever doesn't mean you have the skill trait. The perfect example is you're a 20-year wrestler, your brother's in the UFC, and he's a striker.
Striker.
And
Yeah.
you're a wrestler, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the difference in things. And it's just like every era has its own different type of thing. The only time that Islam's been caught was by Adriano, whatever his name is, you know what I mean? And he got flash knocked out, and we haven't seen anything like that since, besides the Volk fight, you know what I mean? So, and Volk's like one of the most balanced fighters there is.
But then also speaking on like my brother being a striker, I don't know if you caught his last fight. He is a striker. Like the last dude he fought was content with like getting to those grappling positions and sitting there, and there's no excuses past that. But like the people announcing the fight and like talking, the broadcasters for the fight are like praising it, right? But then when
Yeah.
somebody like Pat does it against the cage, it's like, why are we not praising it? Like it's still great, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's hard to do. Those taller wrestlers, I thought it was the most beautiful fight I've ever watched because
Yeah.
he's a very similar height to me. He's got a very like he has way more submissions and jujitsu into his repertoire and moves in general. He's a way better fighter than me. But
He's also not to, I'm not even comparing you to him, but he has an extensively successful BJJ background that no one
yeah,
gives him credit for in the
yeah.
MMA like space. Like,
And watching him, like I have a problem with grappling taller dudes. Like even if they're less technical than some of the people I've beaten, like that body type just gives me more of a problem, especially being an upper body guy, getting them off their toes, right? Pat kept him against the cage. Like he was having a problem with that. So he just
yeah,
didn't let him go. And I was like, that is so like it seemed so simple, but like for me watching it, I'm like, he just gave me a blueprint for like taller taller
yeah,
competitors. You know
exactly,
what I mean? Like I
exactly,
don't have to rush. I don't have to
yeah,
waste all my energy
exactly.
trying to get you down. If you don't want to move, I'll keep you against the cage and I'll just punch you a little, you know?
And that's almost like the perfect example of that is the BMF fight between Charles and Max, where it's like Charles obviously pushes on the gas pedal and, you know, he's all offense, like, you know, all gas, no brakes. And everyone's like, oh, it's a BMF fight. It's an MMA fight, though, at the end of the
Yeah.
day. That's the top of the totem pole. It's an MMA fight. So if Max is going to not be able to get out of the positions that Charles puts him in, it's an MMA fight. And Charles Oliveira is fighting to go get another title at 155. He's not fighting to go fight
Yeah.
and win. He's fighting to win the BMF belt, but he's not fighting because he's, you know, trying to be the BMF and just trying to put himself in bad spots and then do the point down and just get face planted for no
Yeah.
reason. Like that,
And
that's just stupid. Like, and if you have a background of a Sambo guy and a BJJ guy, it's an MMA fight. It's a mixed martial arts fight. If
if
you're
you wanted
so
to
good
throw
at what you
hands,
do, you make it into a Sambo match because that's how good you are, and you dictate what's going on because you're the best fighter that's on the octagon to canvas.
yeah, the complaints for that fight were annoying me too because it's like that's a style problem. If you don't want
Yeah.
a grappler grappling and again, that's my biggest problem with it at all. It's like you're asking them to fight out of character and risk a loss. That's what it
Yeah.
is. If they're not fighting how they typically do in the gym because they want to be more exciting and they want to and they get knocked out, like it affects their bank account, it affects their
Yeah.
projection. So I don't I don't like any fan like partaking in like manipulating like how a fighter should fight. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just it's like I use this analogy a lot. It's like a fat guy watching runway models and being like, "Oh, she's too skinny."
Yeah.
It's like if you don't fight, you shouldn't be telling people what they should be doing to
Yeah.
risk their like it's their career. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
You're not in
well,
charge of the money that's coming in, whether the win or the loss. So you know what I mean? Unless you're
yeah.
paying the bills, you know what I mean? You don't really got too much say. That's like the father talk, you know what I mean? So, but
And I would say I'm opposite of like the style that or I try to be like that's how I made my wrestling, the style that does annoy people, like settling in a position and like sitting there, like I'm always chasing a finish,
yeah,
so it doesn't affect me. I just see it, you know,
yeah,
like I want to finish my one fight, like I lost. If you watch the first two rounds, I'm getting to my opponent's back and I'm just sitting there And every round, because of that, I would go back to the corner and I would tell my brother and Dante were corner me, and I was like, "Yo, I'm definitely losing. Like I'm losing." And everybody that watched the fight was like, "Yo, you're crazy. Like you were winning all the way up until I got subbed." But it didn't feel like that because I was fighting out of character, doing that like slower
Yeah.
style, you know. So I feel for people. I'm a compassionate fighter. Like I like the fighters. I like people. I like people
Yeah.
succeeding. You know,
But
I
you
don't
also
really.
got to flip that switch too, and you do flip that switch because you do have what 3 first-round finishes out of your 4 wins by submission. So what goes into that too? Like what when you start to sync up that stuff, because I feel like the value of two people, you get rocked and you get dropped and you get knocked down. If we're looking at like the OG ESPN model of stats, I know they have obviously switched over, but just the stat model that they put out there, knockdowns are accounted towards, but it seems like submission temps aren't really as accounted for as much as knockdowns are for.
So 100%. And I would say my worst or a weakness I have in my grappling is like my jujitsu transitioning. So
Yeah,
like my grappling style right now is to and use my wrestling to manipulate the initial position like we're landing in. And
yeah,
I have a submission from like a lot of my boys will tell you at the gym, like I have a submission from anywhere. Like I got sneaky submissions. It's just like getting to positions, or if I'm in guard with somebody that has really good jujitsu, me getting past their guard might seem a little hard. But now if I take them down straight to their back, you know, and I'm inside control right away, or I'm in that good position, that's what I try to do. I try to avoid like skip past certain jujitsu things with wrestling and then start attacking my submissions right away.
yeah, 100%. And that obviously, you seem like you have that down pat too for the way that you style in your fight. But what was it like coming off that first loss? Because it sounded like you were kind of overthinking it a little bit during the fight itself, and then you also came back and got another sub after that and bounced back from that. But what was it like taking your first loss, and how did you kind of like regroup your mind to get back in there and get a victory directly after that?
I think I was relieved kind of after it happened because like I never, with how the pressure was feeling in the moment, like I wanted it felt nice to have the O gone right away, as
Yeah,
weird as that sounds. With how heavy the pressure felt when I was fighting, like I remember I walked down the stairs and I sat on the couch and I like laughed for a second because I was like, all right, that part's over. Like I don't have to
yeah,
worry about like being this undefeated, like unkillable, untaintable fighter, And that's how my friends that don't fight would explain me. Like
yeah,
that's how they would talk to me. That's how my siblings that don't fight would talk about me to like their significant others. And it's all I was really thinking about going in. So I was relieved. I felt more bad. I felt bad for everybody else. Like my brother was upset, my fiance was upset, but it was kind of just set a fire. Like I knew what I needed to do. I wanted to just focus on the mental aspect and work on never walking in the cage, letting that moment get to me like that again. Like I felt like my arms and my legs were 1,000 pounds before the
yeah,
bell rang. And I just hated that feeling where I'm usually fighting for the finish or that exciting style, in my opinion. I felt like I was on the defense. Like I was worried
yeah,
about getting clipped. Everything felt tight and I wasn't confident. So I just kept repeating, like, I don't want to get knocked out. I don't want to. And then when I was in the choke, I elected to get knocked out anyway. So it didn't really matter.
yeah. And we've seen like if I talk about other sports on different podcasts, if I look at like the best records of some teams ever in major sports, I mean, we talk about like I don't know off the top of my head they had the best record in MLB history, but like Seattle Mariners way back in the day had like 116 plus wins or something around there.
Yeah.
The Patriots had that 18 or they were 18-0, lost in the Super Bowl. The Mariners didn't win the World Series. The who's the other one? The Obviously, I'm a massive LeBron James guy. Shout out to the Philadelphia area because we just got turned up into a whole new direction with that coming on. But And everybody's trying to do South Jersey MMA or South Jersey Philadelphia math, where I know a lot of the South Jersey and New Jersey guys get lump summed into like being from Philadelphia, but we're really from South Jersey and close out to there. But 73-9 Warriors team loses to the Cavs in the finals. That part of being perfect and undefeated, that's not a realistic expectation, especially in such a brutal, outrageous sport like MMA. Like, that's just not something that is actually ever going to happen. You know, we saw Habib is the only person to accomplish that.
Yeah, and like the Dagestani dudes are here training with us, and I think that's the like biggest blessing that I have in life right now, because it's such a like our grappling practice, we start a upper body, like it feels like I'm at home with a grappling practice, and it's like tailored for me, you know. So I
Yeah,
appreciate it, but in the sense of like records and undefeated fighters, like I think something like the 125-pound weight class, right?
yeah.
What's the record of their champions, like, typically? Like,
Yeah, Brandon Royval's been what in the top 1, 2, or 3. He's almost got 10 losses and he's got like under 20 wins. But that dude is a literal savage. You know what I mean? It's like,
and that's how I look at it. Like, I think they have the hardest weight class, if you think
yeah,
about it, because it's like your champions have like 4 or 5 losses. Like, you guys, like, they're all beating the shit out of each other. Every other person's winning.
yeah,
That means the skill gap between them is like right here, you know?
yeah. I
And
saw yesterday. I don't know if you saw the fight yesterday. Steve Ursog, who fought for the belt, I think a year or two ago, he got flatlined at 125. And I
yeah,
was like, dude, to see someone get flatlined by a strike at 125 is like one of the most rare things that you could see in the UFC.
and but now think about what happens to like the 25ers. Like, they they don't get as much publicity. Like, they
Yeah,
they have to make it through grinding, through fighting, like
yeah,
fighting hard fights and like being entertaining, trying to be as flashy as possible to make it, you know. And they're all beating each other. I think that's why I say, like, I don't care about my record, because that's how I view it. Like, I'll take a fight at any time, like a bad fight, if it's somebody that I should possibly be able to beat. And like, if I would have waited like longer in my career, like, no, like, let's just go. If it's a loss on my record, I'll adjust to it from there. If it's a win on my record, like, that was the plan in the first place, we'll keep going.
yeah. It's just an opportunity to get better, and you never know what the fights are gonna. And also with 125, that weight cut might be the most brutal of any weight
Brutal.
cut. Those
Yeah.
dudes are like 145, 150, and they're cutting down the lowest possible weight, and then they get disrespected because it's like, oh, a male at 125 is not a savage. He's just like literally a girl size. It's like, bro, these dudes would
Kill
beat
it.
this
Like,
It's like the
yeah.
NBA thing. It's like, oh, the dude on the back end of the NBA bench, like maybe he does get paid a little bit too much, which I do agree. You know, those dudes are making mills for, you know, and they're not really seeing the floor. But at the end of the day, to try and say he's not talented at basketball, this dude would go to your local LA Fitness and
And
drop
dunk on
30 on you
everyone.
in 3 minutes and dunk all over you. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just like, it doesn't make sense, like the expectations people put on. And I know Sean Brady, I don't know him personally, but I know people obviously associate with him. Sean Brady was saying that he had to work with a sports psychologist after his first loss because he thought he was unbreakable and he was undefeated. He got to the level of challenging a guy like Bilal Muhammad. And then, you know, it kind of broke him a little bit because he thought he was invincible. And I feel like every grown man has had that thought at some point in time. You know what I mean? Whether it's between sports or just their profession or whatever they do in life, every grown man like reaches their breaking point, but it's also not seen as like, you know, cracking the foundation to like actually go to get the help that they need to, you know, retool and get back to where they need to go.
Well, yeah, actually, I thought the kid's name is Maxim Sabolka. We talked after the fight, and he suggested he's like, maybe you should think about getting a sports psychologist, you know, or sports therapist. Is that right?
Yeah. Psychologist, therapist, kind of like, you know, same terminology. So
But I thought about it. I think I had that like unkillable, unbreakable mindset more. I did have it like all through high school. I would be under practicing, but I was convinced I could kill everybody, so I would overperform, you know. It was like I
yeah,
wasn't really putting in the hours. And now with MMA, it's like I have to put in the hours to be able to compete with these dudes. So I can't like lie to myself and say like I don't care. Like I know I care because I'm putting in the hours. So I have to make it a different mindset. Like I know I could lose. I know I could get knocked out, but I think anybody that's moved with me or like feels me grappling or feels a submission set and like knows it feels like a little different, you know,
Yeah,
like it's not normal, or
yeah.
I feel like it's not normal. Some of my friends have relayed that message back to me, but
It's almost like when you're getting to the spot, you're working for that spot, and then when you cinch it in, it's just like that's when it's like full go. You're pressing the gas on the pedal, and it's just like you got different type of stuff that you're putting into those submissions. So, what is not to rat on yourself and give away some of your moves or anything, but what's your like favorite submission to hit on somebody?
it's definitely the Peruvian necktie. But I've been
That was
trying.
nasty. If you haven't checked out Mike's Instagram too, go check it out. Plug up your Instagram real quick so everybody knows where to find you at. But it's on your Instagram. That was the first submission I saw when I was going through the catalog, and I was like, Jesus, bro. Like at times I think I'm a savage too. If someone put me in that, like it'd be a bad, bad day for me.
It's my handle's at O'Brien, man. But yeah, I love jujitsu because it's like you could really be going with, and I love the Peruvian for this reason too. You could go with like a 220 pound dude. And that's what ground fighting in the Marine Corps is like too. You know,
Yeah,
I was a very, very, like, obviously you have a 20-year wrestling background. You're going to get, these guys are tough, but they don't
yeah,
really have that grappling background, you know, and we're competing. So I should just walk through them, but they're 240 pound, like
yeah,
tough machine gunners. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's still hard, and that's why I love the Peruvian. It's like one of those moves. A small guy like me, if I get a 220 pound, 230 pound guy in that move, I'm using all of my leg weight, leg pressure on his head. It doesn't matter how heavy you are. You're still gonna pass out. You know.
yeah. That's the beauty of it too. The beauty of technique as well, especially like you seem like you're seeking that at times. So like you might just be finding random avenues to like be able to, and then you create different style of moves where, oh, now I can get it from this angle. Now I can cinch it in from this angle. And it's like, may I've not haven't been thinking about that before, but this is my favorite submission. So I'm always going to try and find a way in different positions to be able to get to that and be able to sink that in on somebody.
I'm addicted to all types of like unorthodox submissions. Like I
Yeah.
just started trying to add a Korean necktie, which is like the same thing with your stomach and then
Yeah.
catching the legs with your
Well,
legs.
that's what I mean, you have the main resource too, Islam. He kind of sinks it in a different way too, the way he clasps it too.
He
Like
does that
what he
short
put
guard.
I was asking Coach Webb about it when I interviewed him, and he was saying that just the way that Islam kind of wraps you up, especially in the Dustin fight, it's like just a different type of thing that he has going on. And then when he clinches his hands together, it's just like, what I mean, that strength is just unparalleled.
Yeah, when honestly anybody on their team, when they settle into a position, when you're grappling it, you feel it. You're like, damn,
Yeah,
if like he didn't want to move right now, I'd have a, like if we weren't rolling and the purpose was not to move, I don't know if I'd be able to get
yeah,
up, you know. But yeah, that's stuff. I like the unorthodox subs because it just gives me more. Like I feel like practicing, right? Like if you go back and watch my last fight, we end up in this waterfall position, and he has my leg on his shoulder, and I'm like
yeah,
kind of reaching down to the leg already, but I realize I'm stuck because my leg's on top, and I'm just punching there until he ends up switching position, and everybody, like all of my boys after, are like, that was crazy, like you were upside down on his back, just started punching him, but I'm like, dude, me and Jerry Lacey are in that position. Like we were in
yeah.
that specific position at least like 100 times before I even fought.
Yeah.
That
And that
waterfall
might
with
be
my
your
leg up.
fight. The dude you're fighting, that might be the first time or one of the first times that he's in that position. He might think that he has the upper hand, and then you just completely reverse it on him. And that's just the beauty of it.
And that's like, I try to make all of my my style based on that. I feel like it might give a lot away because I mean I won't talk about certain things, but like from
Yeah,
North,
yeah, we got to zip that out. We got to save that for the fights too. But
because it is like a simple fix if you're the one going against it. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of baiting and like trying to let things happen so
yeah,
that I could start attacking my stuff, or me being lazy and breathing a lot in positions that they might think they're good in, but I'm just waiting for them to do like one
yeah,
little movement to start it. Like I love darce from north south on bottom, right? Like you
yeah.
get your arm out, you get their arm over, and then you slide into the darce. Like
That's one of the most from talking from the fan perspective. That's one of the most fan pleasing submissions is the North South darts, just because it just looks crazy. Like it just looks wild. It just looks like it should not be as tight that it actually is, and I just know that it does not feel good whatsoever.
and a submission like that though, like if I'm telling explaining it to you, it's like, or like saying how I would get into it. I wouldn't just lay on my back and let somebody get north south to attempt the move, but I have a lot of stuff where I do weird
Yeah,
stuff like that where it's like you wouldn't want to put yourself in that bad position, but
yeah.
I also don't have all the tools to get to those positions naturally. Like I said before, like it's a lot of wrestling based, so I'll use my opponent to get to the position. If
Yeah, we hear a lot about counter strikers, but I don't know if we hear too much of the term like counter submission artists. You know what I mean? That are baiting people. Like submission is just baiting people into spots like that, but like an actual true counter submission type guy. It's like we see, Izzy's the perfect example. Like Izzy, the Robert Whitaker knockout was like that Matrix knockout back in
yeah,
the day, where he's like leaning backwards and hits him. When he's pushed against the cage versus Poetan and UFC 287, my favorite knockout of all time, and he's just getting ripped, and then overhand right just dungeon claps him. You know what I mean? Just puts him to bed. And it's just like, if someone's full on the gas offensively and they keep pushing,
yeah,
and you're just waiting for that spot and you put the stop sign on them, you know what I mean, out of nowhere, then bang, they're in a horrible spot themselves and they've overcommitted and they've over
and
pursued. It's almost like it's like a play action in football. You know what I mean? It's like a double
yeah,
move in football. Like if the cornerback comes up and baits, he's trying to cover the guy. If he runs up and mishandles his coverage, that's why the guy's wide
the dude's
open.
out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why he's wide open.
and yeah, so I think the upper body wrestling is like what really formed my jujitsu style too, because when you're a middle school wrestler in New Jersey, with how
Yeah,
competitive everything is, and you're doing headlocks and you're doing throws, every coach around you is going to tell you to stop and focus on like your shots and do the
yeah,
singles, do the doubles. And I just never would. Like I wrestled for so long, so I knew I had a single, I had a double, but I was really, when I was going out and competing, it was just throws at some point, and that is the same thing that I'm explaining, right? Like I'm leaving a leg forward so that they shoot on that leg, and then I could pull them up to my upper body. Like I'm waiting,
yeah,
sitting there. And then like MMA, you would never want, like some of my teammates get mad when they see me like initiate and grab for double overhooks, right? Because I'm giving my opponent double underhooks, and you don't want to be against the cage with your opponent having double underhooks. But
yeah,
I'm like, is it a bad position if I'm the one, like if I am most likely going to get the takedown? Like I'm that confident with my double overhooks, you know?
yeah,
So I don't know if it necessarily is a bad position. Like it's good for them in their mind, and I love that. I want them to feel
yeah.
like they
Gas them
feel
up a
like
little bit. So you know what I mean. Gas them up,
yeah,
and then you're gaslighting them, and then obviously then you turn the light turns green, and then you're ready to go too. We see a
yeah,
lot of people get reversed in that position too. They get the body lock in, and they think they're in a good spot, and then they get thrown against the cage. And we see a
yeah,
lot of people that are good strikers that are good defensively in that space, and then they start working their Muay Thai and their dirty boxing in that spot, and that's where we see some of the craziest knockouts that there is in those exact type of situations.
and yeah, that's what. And I think when you go to the ground from some of those positions, that's what incites like some of those like beautiful transitions, like jujitsu
Yeah,
transitions, you know. And like we're not like at the level I'm at right now, like I'm not even allowed to elbow people in the face, but a lot of those like overhook positions, like when you land, it's right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's right there. They have the
Yeah.
turn. There's more submissions there too.
I
Like
was
you're
talking
right.
about that on my last episode with the COO Jason of Cage Fury, and we were talking about how like different regulations of athletic commissions, because everybody thinks the UFC regulates. You know, this is exactly what Jason was saying. It's like the UFC does not regulate. It's actually the state's athletic commission. So in New Jersey, you don't have the luxury on the amateur scene to be able to do some of the things that other, you know, you're able to do in other spots as well too. So I feel like I don't really like that as much too, and I also don't really like the canvas and the octagon being smaller, because if you're in preparation to become a professional fighter, I think you need to have all the tools of, you know, the same level playing field so that you're prepared for those moments. I know baseball is obviously different dimension wise, but like you're not going to shorten a football field of its dimensions at any
Yeah.
level, or a basketball court's going to be 94 feet regardless. You know what I mean? The height's going to be 10 foot on the rim. That's just is what it is. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't really like how they kind of change some of the accessories to certain stuff, especially in fighting. Fighting's already hard enough. If you're changing the dimensions of fights, like that throws off the timing and all different types of stuff for people. And it kind of like,
And that
you know,
could be
you get
somebody's
locked in
main
like a
tool.
bird cage. And the brutalness of it is like they act like, oh, like, you know, way back in the day, it was like human cockfighting. If you put people in a closer, smaller space, which the smaller spaces are on the amateur scene, that's the closer you get to that
Yeah.
connotation. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, that's what, like, it does the, like, think about how high paced some of those fights you see in the UFC are, right?
yeah,
But when you change the clock for the amateur fighters to 3 minutes, and then you put us in like a way smaller cage, I've felt, I mean, more in sparring because like a lot of my fights haven't brought this out of me as much, but like that 3 minute pace is way faster. And then when you're in a
yeah,
small cage, there's less to go. So you're usually right next to him the whole time. You know, it makes you work almost double than some of what fight like
yeah,
you've probably seen like amateur fights that there's literally movement or something competitive between the two fighters the whole
yeah,
fight
100%.
like,
Yeah, the entire time. Yeah. And it's also like you're on a wrestling mat more so as a bounce, like as opposed to like a bouncy canvas as well too. So it's just like 180 seconds is a lot different than 300 seconds. You know what I mean? And you feel like you need to really push the gas pedal, and you're in a smaller space to work with. So I feel like you said, the action just picks up a lot more, which is good, especially on the amateur scene. But how much better are you actually getting for a professional fight, which is the ultimate goal for most people that are fighting on the amateur scene?
yeah, and then it also changes the shots and like what you're going to be doing if you
Yeah.
shoot open mat in an amateur fight. You have about 2 steps to finish that takedown
I was
before
gonna
he
say,
can.
bro, you step back twice and you're against the cage. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? It's like, and then
Uh,
you talk about people complaining about against the wall grappling in the UFC. A lot of their amateur time was spent probably doing that because
Against the
that's the
wall.
space that they were working with. Like,
Yeah. And that's something at the gym like we harp on is like our cage wrestling. Like we don't really do a wrestling day, you know,
yeah,
it's cage wrestling day. It's like
yeah,
this is what we're prepared. You hardly ever see people take like these open mat shots, and then if it's an open mat shot, I'm a wrestler, so if I'm taking it, hope it should be in a way that I'm getting into my shot and smoothly getting a takedown right away. When they're not, if I'm going against somebody that doesn't wrestle and they don't have the cage to help them stand up, like it should be smooth and if like fast, you know,
yeah,
efficient, not like grinding it out. Now
yeah,
against the cage, even a like a worse grappler is going to be able to defend you a little bit when he has a third leg like blocking him up.
yeah,
I say that it is like a third leg though. Like I use it
yeah,
very much like that. I love being on the I mean, I love the defensive aspect of grappling. Like I really thought I was gonna throw hands my last fight. I was kind of shocked uh he shot on me. I was ready for it, but like I'm so comfortable against the cage. I want grapplers. I want more wrestlers, you know. Like put me against the cage. I think with how I finished like my wrestling career at least, like there could be somebody like if you know wrestling, you know how to find that information, you know? So I want
Yeah.
good wrestlers to go find that information and think that they could come like out grapple me. Like I want the
Yeah.
shots, shoot on me. Let's
Yeah.
go. And
And then if two wrestlers and two grapplers start throwing hands with each other, that's what the fans want to see. That's what we're looking for. You know what I mean? It's like these two guys are canceling out the two things that they do best, and now it's a dogfight, and that's what people are trying to see. So that's the beauty
well,
of everything behind it
that's
too.
that's also why I want my jujitsu to jump levels. Like I hope in a couple years, like people think my jujitsu feels just like my wrestling. I think my submission game is is on its way to do that. My
I'll
transition
tell you
game,
one thing, man. If you keep working with the dudes that you're working with now, you know what I mean? That's the epitome of what their expertise is. So I think you'll get there if you keep working with, the likes of Habib. So,
and well also like Marquez's gym has great
yeah.
grapplers, you know, like the Pat come came every Monday for my camp. I thought that was the best thing for me.
145 is just
Yeah,
145 is I don't even know what to call it, how much talent's at 145, especially just in the gyms with each other. I mean, we haven't even brought up Christian Bobby yet. Another guy at 145
yeah.
is just, there's just savages littered all over the place. Like
And
resources to train with each other, and everyone's getting better from it as well, too.
from our gym too, like Nick Galante, he was
Yeah.
my old roommate. He's about to fight on the Contender Series. He's got like I how Justin explains like my squeeze to me, like being a 45er, like I feel like I could actually explode if Nick gets
Yeah.
me in the right
Like your eyes are
position.
going to pop out of their
Y-
sockets, like how hard he's squeezing you. Yeah.
And it won't even be a submission. He could do that from, and says Sean could do this to him. So like I
Yeah.
could only imagine what that would feel
Yeah.
like. But like
Exactly.
he'll be in like a 3/4 guard or like half guard and pinching his knees and just be in the right position, and it'll feel like a tank is on top of you. You know,
Yeah.
that's when I could do. So I feel like my submissions are there, but when I could do that along with my submissions, that's when I think my grappling will start like becoming more complete because I have the subs, but I want the like positional dominance too.
Yeah, as well too. I mean, we saw from Hamza versus Rob Whitaker too. What that lasted like 3 minutes, and it was like a face crank. It wasn't a direct under the chin choke, and like his squeeze and his grip was so vicious that it like literally broke Robert Whitaker's jaw. A
Yeah.
dude that has fought for the belt how many times? Who's a savage himself. Like, but that's like those high level grapplers, those jujitsu guys. They get hands on you, and you're striking based, and you're not prepared for it, and then it is just a different. We see the striking to the jujitsu difference too, and sometimes it plays out like that. Where you get like the flash knockouts that all the fans are looking for and everything too. But the beauty of it is too is when you get one of those grapplers, those jujitsu guys that can just literally dominate you, and they make quick work. It's like, bro, when Aljo put Corey Sandhagen out that one time, like, oh my God, that is one of the most impressive performances literally of all time.
Yeah, and for me it's like I I feel like I could have competed at high level wrestling. I went to the Marine Corps
Yeah.
and I
Thank you for your
stayed.
service as well, too.
I appreciate that. But there it's like I was still doing jujitsu. I was still working out. I didn't stop grappling. Like I
Yeah.
just had a job and I was grappling on my off hours. But in
Were
my
you
head
the
I'm
guy
like,
that people were going to as well too? Like you were the known guy in that space, and people were like, so you're getting extra work in by being the guy. It's like, oh, I know that he's like that. I kind of want to add that to my arsenal. People are hitting you up on the low. They're like, yo, like I need to see what that's about. So you're even getting extra work off the clock in that sense as well too.
yeah, like when we went to Japan, we went to Mount Fuji and it's a small base. All of my boys would come to the mat room, you know, and we would
Yeah.
just train in the last questions. We'll like do a little class, you know. It would be like a real, and sure, they're lower level guys, like they never started, but the dudes that are passionate about it, some did MMA on the side or jujitsu on the side, you know. So it would turn into some good roles. Like
Yeah.
I would do tournaments as well, and it just with how my path was to where I am, I felt like I had the advantage of like I told you this before, like the high level wrestler, like being able to shut
Yeah.
off some of those aspects of wrestling. Like I didn't get that. So I feel like I could make my jujitsu just as good as my wrestling, where
Yeah.
I think the wrestlers are very good positional. And I see a lot of, like, there's better wrestlers than me I see come around and do jujitsu. I've done jujitsu
It's
competitions.
like for me in my space, what I compare it to is like when I had to, edit videos and what I went to school for and everything. You have to loop things together. So you're like here 94%, and then bang, you're looping in the next thing to it, and it's mixed martial arts. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like you catch somebody in a bad wrestling spot, and then you completely reverse it into a real positional BJJ spot. And that's when we see the backpack come into effect. And then you backpack
Yeah.
somebody and someone's not ready for the backpack, it's pretty much a wrap. You literally see the fear in people's eyes when they think it's a grappling exchange and then they get their back taken. Like you see it on the broadcast. Like you're like, oh man, this dude knows he's in massive, massive trouble. The only person, and I know it was versus your boy, the only person that was happy to be in that spot outside, I think Kevin Holland the one time was like smiling, giving the thumbs up because people thought he was out, and he was giving the thumbs up like, no, I'm not choked out. But when Volk was smiling in the original Islam fight and he was throwing the
Yeah.
hammer fist backwards, and I was like, bro, this is like the greatest fight of all time. You know what I mean? So that's the only time I've seen somebody with the most dangerous dude in the entire world on his back, like smiling and actually happy, and he somehow got out of it. But that's also the same dude that got out of two of the craziest Brian Ortega T-City submissions in that third round in that fight, in that championship fight of all time. That was another ridiculous performance. So shout out to my boy Volk because he's the man.
Yeah, that guillotine was crazy. It was crazy that he got out of that. The
Yeah.
Brian Ortega guillotine.
And I know, that's a 145 guy too. You know what I mean? I know you used to be a lot heavier with rugby. Like that's how crazy 145 is. Like, you know what I mean? The 145 talent pool. And there's guys that like Volk, he's the guy that held the weight and the belt forever. And there's so much talent. A lot of those guys were stylistic guys during that time period. And obviously Volk's still the champ there. But I'm talking about when he beat Max 3 times, where he was beating Brian Ortega, one of the best submission artists in the entire world, one of the best strikers in the entire world. But John Jones, this is about him. This is also about Volk. They're the best at connecting everything together. You know what I mean? That's why they are considered the best mixed martial artist.
So exactly. I want to be able to submit or knock out the wrestlers. I want to be able to control or knock out the jiu-jitsu artists.
Yeah.
And I'm going to out grapple the pure strikers. That's how I feel. Obviously, nobody ever is going to be like nowadays in modern MMA, everybody's good at everything. But I'm like intelligent enough to know what somebody's strong suit is. We all know what our opponent's strong suit is,
Yeah, exactly.
And I could see how they're training to like be like, okay, this is his main thing. This is probably what he's good at. So this is what I'm gonna use, and that's what I feel like. Wrestlers are a huge scare for people to fight against, but it's like I'll never have that. I would say I'm not really a full wrestler. I would say I'm a all-around grappler. I do more subs than most wrestlers. I definitely like being on my back more than normal wrestlers. So it's like I'm never gonna be scared of going against a wrestler
because I feel like a lot of wrestlers too, they think the wrestling aspect of it is them just dominating someone in wrestling offensively, but you have to, a lot of the high level strikers, perfect example that was spurring my brain is Peter Yan. I think Peter Yan not being the 135 champ for that long, it took him that long to get his belt back, was so crazy because of how talented that dude is. He's like so good. He had to go through getting Marab just takedowns on repeat, but the last fight when he was a massive underdog was he's stuffing the takedown to the point where he knew it wasn't going to be effective, and he kind of broke Marab. We haven't seen Marab really break like that, as in like he didn't really show it, and Marab was obviously still competitive and everything, but he's kept stuffing those takedowns, and then Marab really didn't have anything to go to. And then when you go striking for striking with Peter Yan, there's nobody that can go striking for striking with Peter Yan. That's just not a thing. Like, I feel like
But
that about Pantoja too. Like if the Josh Van fight went a little bit longer, obviously that was very unfortunate. But Pantoja, you talk about a dude that's able to put everything together. That dude, you know, the disrespect of 125, they have like dudes that aren't the belt holders in other divisions, like highly ranked in him in the pound for
yeah,
pound when he was the champion. It's like, bro, that dude, when the way he pieces everything together, he goes out there and literally dominates. He has like, there's, you know, fights where he had beaten Brandon Moreno how many times, and he had Brandon Moreno like straight up running and fleeing the cage, trying to just get away and just take a breather on him. Like,
well, for him, it's like look at all of the other champions at 125's records, and then look at Pantoja's
yeah,
record at
exactly.
125.
Yeah.
Like he's actually
Yeah.
different. He's a savage. But no, I think that is like the most. I think that's the most beautiful aspect of MMA. You know what I mean? Being able to blend it together and doing it in a exciting way. That's what I want to be able to do. I take pride in, uh, like I gotta. Obviously, I have a loss on my record. That's a finish though too. I got 100% finish rate. You know, so I
No,
want to.
you take everything in stride though. That's what the beautiful part is, because in fighting, you might get caught bad in a bad spot. You might get dropped. You might get taken down in this. But if you roll through it,
Yeah,
you never know what the ending's going to actually be.
and I get 100%. Like I think I'm always trying to roll through. I'm always trying to Granby. If somebody's in on a shot, I'm grabbing the head, even though you're not supposed to. They're going around my back. I'm reaching for the lat. Like I know you're
Yeah.
not supposed to. Like when somebody,
It's the Tom and Jerry cat race. You know what I mean? It's like you're like going like this until you're here, and then it meets at the point, and you're at the head of the point, and then bang, you're in the better spot, and then you catch somebody in a turtle shell, and you might be able to knock them out. You know what I mean? Ground and pound. You might be able to catch them and just have them turtled up, and they can't really do it. Or, you know, we see
I keep
people.
getting my
I
phone
don't
off.
know why
My
people
bad.
don't. When people are turtled up, I don't know why people don't like how Justin was doing Ilya. That soccer kick to the body is so vicious. If you can land, that's like the Khalil Roundtree technique. You know what I mean? Like if you can do that, like that is just vicious. Like
And I think I haven't been able to display a lot of because I have like my first and seconds of like the things I want to do when I hit the ground, and some of them are striking, but I know that I'm not going to be allowed to throw an elbow or allowed
yeah,
to do. So I'm focusing on getting the sub right away. But when the rules change a little bit and I'm not worried about like doing something that's going to cost me a point or stop the fight when I'm in a good position, then I'll open up a little
yeah,
more doing it. But right now, I mean, you see too, the CFFC has even better rules than some of the other
yeah.
organizations. Some of the other ones, like you can even punch to the face, so you might as well start looking for your sub, you know?
Yeah. And the luxury is like fighting in Pennsylvania too. You know what I mean? That helps as opposed to like some of the strict rules in New Jersey as well. So I think that's definitely a luxury of CFFC as well. So shout out to CFFC, and hopefully everyone's that watching got my application that I sent in the other day about CFFC. So shout out to them, shout out to Jason and all those guys. But to switch the subject up a little bit, what's the birth of your child? What has that meant to you, and how is that like burning some fuel for you to even become the best possible fighter that you can possibly be?
So again, Marquez's gym is good for this because when it first happened, I was trying like I know the fighters I have around like have a very opposing mindset
Yeah,
to it. Like they're girls and like focusing on the fighting. You know, Pat, Sean, they got kids, and I like started looking at MMA fighters that have kids, like how they manage it. You know, I'd see he posts on his story like he's doing a run with his baby in a carrot in the stroller, you know, and I'm like, dude, I was gonna have a kid no matter what, so why am I gonna trip about it being early? Like I have
yeah,
to use it as fuel. Like that's what it
yeah,
has to be. And then I would start like I told you this earlier, but staring at like I have my daughter as my lock screen. Like I would be staring at the picture for 20 minutes before I would go spar for this last camp, you know, and I would just get fired up like I could kill anything for her. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
nothing will stop me. And the rides to practice, like my fiance's whole pregnancy, like they got so emotional. Like I was just thinking about everything. Like the one thought I kept saying, like, I don't want to like be selfish, and
Yeah.
I don't want to like do this if I'm not putting my best foot forward and it's going to end, you know? Like I would feel like that's not fair to her. Like I should go get money right now if that's the case. But then that's like the little devil. Then I'm like, but you're gonna like you're thinking about this on a ride to practice. You're going to
Yeah.
practice. Like you're doing the right thing. You're gonna stay doing the right thing. You'll work every day. And I just my wife too. Like it's not just my daughter. I think of both of them a lot when I'm out, you know. It's like my girls in my head. I'm like I'm just doing everything for them. Like I just even if shit sucks, like the practices in the morning from like taking a break and just jumping in with Khabib's team, like they're tolling on your body. And I have like everybody has that like bitch voice in their head, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really use them a lot to get it to shut up. Like I'll just
Yeah. It's not like those guys aren't dealing with some of the stuff as well too, and especially you're talking about dudes like that are considered the greatest of all time in the sport that have massive, massive, massive followings. Think about some of the things that are just like in their comment section, you know what I mean, and like
yeah,
stuff, and they don't really buy into it as much. But like, it's not like those guys haven't been through that and been around there as well too.
yeah. And what I always thought like I could achieve anything. So how weak of a mindset would it be like if although there ain't a lot of money coming in from MMA in the beginning until you make it, you know, but like how would I don't know if I'd be able to look at my kids and be like, yeah, I just quit. You know what I mean? Like I just stopped because it was like a little hard. You know, I want to
Yeah,
be able to say like I know financially eventually I'll be able to give them a better life, but this is the hard part, you know, like even though we don't have the money coming in right now and like shit might be hard, like I wasn't willing to quit, you know, and then
yeah,
if they're my kids ever want to attack some dream in the future, like they'll be able to be like, well, dad, you know, dad put
yeah.
his
There's not
foot.
too much harder things, you know what I mean? You already did the Marines, MMA, two of the toughest things you can possibly do on earth, bro. So, I mean, there's not too much that you can't handle. So, I think you just got to reinstill that confidence in yourself and just keep going.
Let me well, I wanted to see if she was out here. I hear somebody stepping around. I'd get my daughter to give you a little.
A little shout out, a little live cameo on the podcast. I love it.
Yeah, I got her some Iron Man gear too. Let me see.
What do I got on right now? I got a little Disney stuff on, Land from Before Time, a little dinosaur stuff on here for the crowd. So,
That's an OG banger.
yeah,
Thanks.
OG, OG.
Charlotte out there? I'm bragging about you.
Hey, how we doing?
Say hi.
What's up? What's up,
She's gonna.
Charlotte? Is that Charlotte's Web? What's up? How we doing? You like my shirt?
Look at her shirt. Look.
Oh, you like my
She
shirt?
loves the phone, so she's just trying to reach and grab it because she likes
Yeah.
the.
I had a nephew that was born. I think you posted. I saw it on there. It was like early February.
Yeah.
So my nephew, my sister's son, is now like 18 or 19 months, and he was born February 1st of last year. So
Oh,
that's my guy. So yeah.
she's February 5th. But
February.
she
Oh yeah, a couple days off. Yeah, nothing too crazy. 1 year off. So that's awesome.
if
What's
she
up, Charlotte? How we doing?
if she wants to do anything in martial arts in the future, I mean, I don't want her to, but she is so
Yeah, I was
strong.
gonna say that too. That's also the tough part of it as well too. But I mean, it's already in the bloodline. So maybe if some guys, maybe if you have a son or something like that, maybe that's can be what it
I
is.
think I
But
might go more the Marine Corps route with it, though. The quick draw.
yeah, no, that'd be
When
cool.
when she's like 3 4 days old, she was like hitting back bridges, and I'm like, oh my god. And then we put the NCAA Division 1 wrestling tournament on, and she just
Yeah.
sat there and watched. And the MMA fights, she'll just sit there and watch until she
Oh, well, we
goes.
would love to have her at one of the Han Broadcasting play-by-play Delsey wrestling matches this year. So tell her we got an open invitation. I think you said your dad had to pay like $15 to get in. No, we got the tickets on us on the house if Charlotte wants to be in the crowd. So
You heard
she's
that?
always welcome. She's always welcome to come out and watch some wrestling if that's what she likes.
But yeah, she is the #1 motivation.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly. So, and kind of locking in too. I've seen fighters say that they kind of like even just go out to like fight retreats and like, get away from the family. And that kind of even burns the fuel even more internally because you kind of separate yourself. And it's just like you're wanting to get back home so much that it's like you're doing whatever it takes inside that octagon to get back home. So,
yeah, so since they got here, that's why I was pointing out the beard in the beginning too, because like one of the dudes on Khabib's team came up to me while we're doing the warm up, starts speaking to me in Russian. Definitely thought I was like a little Russian, and I was like, I speak
yeah.
English. And then Justin was like, you should just shave your mustache and leave the beard, because like that's their style. And
I
then
used to rock that back in the day too. When people used to ask me the same thing, I was like, "Nah, bro, it was just It was just an error by me with the trimmers and the clippers." You know what I mean? So
and well, then when I moved with a couple of them, one was like said as a joke, like, "Oh, you guys got to come to Dagestan." But I'm like, I really would,
yeah,
like
yeah,
a month. And I was thinking about that too, like what you said, like the retreat aspect of it. My bad, my phone's like bad with battery right now.
no, it's all good.
But I'm like, I get fueled up here when I'm like
Yeah,
like when I have hours of drive, because I'm like an hour away from the gym, so it's like an hour drive, 2 hours, then I'm going to another practice. So it'll be like when I was in school for this fight camp, like I was seeing her 1 hour a day,
yeah,
like, and when I would be home, like I was trying to chill with her as much as possible, like hang out as much as we can. But I'm like, bro, I just have to get rich enough to like extend that hour gap. You know what I mean? Like make enough
exactly.
money.
That's the right mindset, right?
Yeah, but the retreat aspect too, it's like that's here. Like
Yeah,
I'm here in New Jersey, like fiending to get through the day, like work hard to get back. So I
yeah,
feel like if I did we talk, I talk to my wife about that sometimes, like go on a trip to Arizona to a gym, or like
yeah,
Dagestan would be awesome, and it would fuel me. Like I would treat it like a military deployment. I'd have like
yeah.
pictures of them like in my hat.
What do they say, bro? They say 2, 3 years in Dagestan and forget.
Forget, yeah. And that's
Yeah,
it. I was like, if I could live up to the meme, I think it would be hilarious too.
yeah.
Like I
That
could
would
say,
that would
I
be that'd
actually
be.
went.
Were you able to see Shanko's debut yesterday at all?
Bro, I didn't watch anything yesterday.
Oh, he
So
put on a performance. The dude, the everybody calls him John
John
Shanko, whatever
Port.
you want to call him. That dude's a savage. That dude is a savage. Yesterday, he put on quite the performance. There's a still image of 3 or 4 of his toes inside of the dude's mouth from a front kick. That's how hard he hit him with blood dripping all over his face. It was insane. And I used to make fun of people like, when I was obsessed with MMA, when I first started watching, I used to say, like, what kind of dipping sauce do you want me to put on my toes when I kick you in the face, or like put my feet in your mouth and stuff like that? So that's like that picture was like the epitome of all that too. But for your internal motivation, everything like that too, because I know Justin's like a big Drake guy, and he was asking me. Justin was in my DMs asking for approval from me of what Drake song to use. And I was like, bro, you can use whatever you want. But I gave him some suggestions. He gave me what he was thinking. What type of music are you listening to, and what type of music do you kind of like walk out to? Is that the similarity type things? Like what's the atmosphere before a fight look like for you? I know you said you kind of lean on your guys, like, K Biradelli, shout out to him. K's got to start paying me because I bring up his name on every single podcast. So he's got to start sending me a little paycheck for all that. Nah, that's my guy though. But what type of music do you use to fuel yourself?
So I used to listen to like very outlandish music in high school to wrestle. Like I would listen to like pop songs, like
Yeah.
the song I Think We're Alone Now by Tiffany. It's like I think we're alone now.
I don't
Doesn't seem
oh,
to
so
be.
you're on like the creepy, like you're like trying to like bait somebody into like, the Lovely Bones type songs where it's like, it's like the creepy aspect. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to be alone with you and then, strangle you type thing.
Well, that's what I listen to. Well, anything to try to like calm myself down. Like I would
Oh, okay, I
listen to
gotcha. Okay.
classical now because my strength and conditioning coach like straight up told me like classical music will calm you down a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'll do that. And but my walkouts staying the same my whole career. Iron Man by Black Sabbath. That shit fires me up though.
Yeah.
Like I I would walk out to that. I would be listening to like whatever songs I wanted to within my headset, but we walked out to it for our high school wrestling team. Walked out to Iron Man too. So I would just like I remember we'd slap the lockers in the back room, and I would just get like goosebumps, like ready
Yeah.
to go, and it never left. Like anytime I hear that doom doom,
Yeah.
like I get goosebumps, and it just fires me up. I want to like run through a wall like the Kool-Aid
Yeah.
guy.
That's awesome because back in high school for me as well too was like when I was playing football, um, I we would listen to our music like before, but then we would walk out to the live marching band, and then when you hear that live music and just the drums beating and everything, like it's just like the perfect like storm to just get you going of just naturalness, and you're just like locked in, ready for war. But that's cool that you use the same song though too, because it seems like you hear that song and it's just like your brain flips. It's like, all right, the switch is turned on. It's game time now.
Well, it's like the handle too. I got at boot camp. There's a award for like the physical fitness award is the Ironman award, and I
Yeah,
had just walked out to that. All my buddies started calling, like all my Marine Corps buddies would call me O'Brien man, or like close friends. So
yeah,
I got the arc reactor tattooed. It was all. It was originally because I walked out to it in high school. I got the award at boot camp, but then when I knew I was gonna do MMA after, and it's just a easy
yeah.
thing to keep. They say
Who's
like you
the
don't
Iron
give.
Man? Who's the Iron Man? I'm not a big movie guy. I did watch like the recent Iron Mans and stuff. Iron Man, is that Robert Downey still?
Well, he's not like he's dead as Iron Man now.
Yeah,
He's about to
that'd
be
be dope
Doctor
to get him
Doom.
for a little cameo for the fight though too. You know what I mean? Him be at one of your fights too with that whole mantra and everything that you got going. That'd be definitely dope. Or you come out with like the Iron Man mask on or something like that for one of the fights. That'd be sick.
Ah,
That'd be
I
sick.
need to. Me and Dante have a bet for a very rare submission, and if I hit it during a fight, he's gonna buy me like a very expensive Iron Man mask. So I'm
That would
gonna.
be sick. The one that like, locks in by itself and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick. That's sick. I used to have those Hulk hands, the ones where you'd punch them with
Yeah.
the bars inside of it. They make the sound. So like, I know Jan Kutilaba in the UFC comes out with the face paint and all that stuff, and he like kind of had that mantra too. But even when Poetan comes out with the Cherokee Indian face paint and all that stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, I don't want to be in the room with that dude when he's locked in like that. Like that just seems like he's out for war and he's out for blood. So
Well, also it's like tradition for me now too, because it was like our high school tradition. Like I do it. I just don't think it'll. I think it's cooler to have a song that's like attributed to you versus like use a bunch of different songs. Like I love
yeah,
rap. Rap's my favorite genre. If
yeah,
I was going based off songs, I like, it would be a Boldy James song for every walkout, you
Yeah.
know. But and I think I'll do stuff for certain. The fight I lost actually 2 days before Ozzy Osbourne died.
Yeah.
So then I like it ended up being perfect because
You
that's
do the
just
math to yourself. You're like, this just makes it's just almost like it makes sense. Like,
well. Then I said in my head because like I love music. Like music motivates me throughout the day. Every car ride, I'm singing a song all the way to fucking practice. Dead ass.
yeah.
My bad.
What's a car
Curse.
ride? I don't care about cursing or anything like that. But what does a car ride look like with you and Justin Rosario in the front seat? Like he's probably trying to steal the aux from you. He's probably trying to
Yeah,
put on
play a
some
lot of
Drake.
Drake.
He's got the 3 different Drake albums. He's on cloud 9. You know what I mean? So I gotta hit on my boy a little bit like that because he's we already know he's already saying I asked him about the Drake and stuff. I try to steer him in different directions, but he's tunnel vision and that's what he likes. So I guess it is what it is.
I hate Drake. So I always
He said to me, I told him, all right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I heard the one Janice SDFU song. I heard Timbaland saying that it was fire. So I was like, I respect Timbaland. He was putting out crazy music back in the day. I like the OG Drake. So I started listening to the new Drake. For women, the aspect of women, all women love Drake's music. So it's like, you need to be in the loop a little bit with some Drake. His new albums are pretty good. I actually like the singing Drake more so than like
that's
the
why
hype Drake.
Justin
You know what I
likes
mean?
Drake. You just hit the nail on the head. That is why Justin likes Drake. He knows what he needs to put on if he has a girl in the car. That's why he likes it. No
So
grown
is he
man
putting on a
actually
front? So
likes.
is he not actually? He's a fraudulent Drake fan, is what you're claiming that Justin Rosario is? Because I do
Well, I'm
pull clips
claiming
on the
any dude
podcast and
that's
I
a
post them.
Drake fan.
I post them the week of. I'll pull clips of the podcast. I post them the week of. And if I tag Justin out here and I make an accusation like this about him being a fake Drake fan, and I tag Drake in it, and Champagne Poppy happens to see it, then I think there might be some beef that starts to get mixed in here. So I don't know if I can do that, but if you're tell me that this is,
I
the
think
thing.
it's.
He might be, we got some live viewers on here now too. So he might be
I
listening right now. So
I think it's all male Drake fans. You know, like you can't possibly be enjoying what you're listening to. So the only reason you listen to it is for the girls in the car.
yeah, he's definitely a good singer. I'm not the biggest on him, talking smack like type style of like rapping. I like other people in that aspect, but he's definitely a talented artist, definitely sells out, a
If
lot,
people
very
called him a hip
successful,
hop
but
or a pop artist, I would be like, yeah,
yeah, he's
I
R&B.
like.
He's R&B. I think he's an R&B artist.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
rap, I just think has
Yeah.
evolved in such a bad way. Like I don't think Drake's necessarily a rapper. I think
Yeah.
I
Well, he's
like
not even the best. The thing about Drake is he's not even the best from Young Money. We all know who the greatest rapper of all time is. It's Lil Wayne. So
facts. Lil Wayne is fire.
yeah, Lil Wayne. Everyone loves Lil Wayne. Like it's like he's getting a Hollywood star for a reason. You know what I mean? Lil Wayne is the goat. You know what I mean? So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, but he's
I'm a
also what
Griselda guy.
introduced us to Drake. You know what I mean? So
You
and
know,
there's other times where Nicki Minaj was spitting some hot bars like hotter than Drake, you know what I mean? But Drake also was also in the loop as well too. So shout out to him. But Lil Wayne's the engine that makes everything go with all those people. So
Griselda, like Benny the Butcher, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's what I think rap like should have evolved to.
Yeah.
And they dropped music like the my favorite from the group, Boldy James. He has like 5 songs or 5 albums
Yeah.
already in
I know a lot of
2026.
people that are big on Griselda. I like OG rap like that too. My favorite, like if I'm talking in that type of sense, my all-time favorite, I told Justin this, is he's kind of more a little type of poppy-ish, but he doesn't like to be called that. But I'm a big Wiz Khalifa guy, like Taylor Gang. But also with that being said, Juicy J, 3 6 Mafia. That's like
Three
what
Six
the evolution of
Mafia.
rap was supposed to be is what Juicy J
Yeah,
created, but then it just got way too dumbed down to how good Juicy J and 3 6 Mafia actually are. You know what I mean? That's
you
what kind of
gotta
got ruined by it. Like
you gotta get Eric on the podcast and say that.
he's a big your brother is a big on he's a big 3 6 Mafia guy or
His unit when he was in the Marine Corps was 3-6. So he like that was their and we love WWE. The
oh
Mark
yeah.
Henry theme song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I've been posting video game clips of like I'm not the biggest video game player anymore at my age, but I've been playing on my PS2 a little NFL Street, and they got like the exhibit. It was like produced by Exhibit, so they got all like the Pimp My Ride type vibes from like OG MTV and all that stuff on there.
yeah.
And I got hella 3 6 Mafia songs on there and stuff too. So I love all that nostalgic type rap stuff. Like the 2000s rap is like unmatched. You know what I mean? Like it was good until like
Yeah.
2015-ish, and that's when like the turn. Like I love Drake until like I think like Future. I like Future, but like when him and Future collabed on that album together, that's when I wasn't like the biggest fan of where Drake was like heading in the direction of his career. But at the end of the day, since then, he's probably sold more albums and records than more than anybody in the entire game of any genre. You know what I mean? So it's undeniable, but I guess
It's just a preference, I think like I like all of the rap that was coming out. I wouldn't say all, but like when I was a high school kid listening to like them drop stuff in like 2015,
also
2016.
that's like I graduated 2015, so I'm a little bit older than you. So like Fetty Wap, especially being from New
Yeah,
Jersey, like he was
Jersey.
popping. You know what I mean? Like that's Jersey. That's like we were repping that. I'm not a big Little Uzi guy, but like original Little Uzi Vert, obviously being close to Philly, and then like South Jersey and Philadelphia connection. I mean, we were all massive Meek fans too. You know what I mean? So we're all just massive,
Oh,
massive
Meek,
Meek
yeah.
fans.
Any of the freestylers I love.
Yeah.
So like
That the
Meek,
freestyle videos of Meek with the cornrows is like the epitome of like how we all act around this way. Like that's just how we all act. Like it's like you can't tell me nothing. I'm rapping and I'm talking my shit, and that is what it is. And like that's just the kind of way that we carry ourselves. And then like Dreams and Nightmares dropped, and that was just a rap. You know what I mean? That's just like the forever anthem of Philadelphia of sports and everything. So that's like the forever anthem for us out here. So
me and my cousins, we were always hanging out. Not gonna get into specifics, but we'll end up freestyling. Like every night, we'll end up freestyling. My cousin Caden is the best freestyler I know, so I was always like a wuss. I didn't want to add anything in because I'm like, it's gonna sound bad compared to him. And when I got out after the Marine Corps, manned up a little bit, stopped being as much of a wuss, I started freestyling with him, and he was like, damn, that's pretty good. So I've been doing it a lot more recently. Maybe if they give me the mic after one of the fights, I'll drop a little freestyle.
Yeah, you got sometimes not directly exactly some of the things that Josh Hokett says, but if you can get a little bit close to some of the things that he says, you know what I mean, and have that little flair to you, that's what they're looking for. I know probably when you guys are freestyling though, for the R&B singing verse, you probably call up Justin, right, and get him on the phone so he can hit a little, get the little
high
chorus
notes
for
in.
you guys. Yeah, hit the high notes for you and stuff. So I know all that, but. Thanks for hopping on the podcast, bro. Is there anything else that you want to chop it up and talk about today? Any other things that you want to promote? Because I know you're not only just doing MMA as well, too. You compete. Do you compete in jiu-jitsu as well, like off to the side in like competition wise, or you more so kind of do it just to build the reform with your MMA game?
I want to compete in everything. Like I want to do. Yeah. If I could do a wrestling match, I'd do a wrestling match. Like I'll do a jiu-jitsu, like plenty of things to stay active between fights, but the main goal is MMA,
Yeah.
And
I mean, RAF,
I don't have
if RAF is listening, RAF's already in connection with all those dudes. We had Miles Martin, who on my other podcast, on my other channel that I produce, and I'm the co-commentator for the play-by-play for Han Broadcasting. If you guys want to go check that out. We do the Delsey Wrestling Games, obviously one of the biggest schools in the biggest state for wrestling. And we had Miles on, who upset Bo Nickel for the national championship as a freshman, and one of the greatest reversals that we've ever seen, where he hit that 5-point move reversal to win the national championship. I was losing my mind. His dad was on the broadcast, and his dad was my youth football coach, losing his mind. And it was just one of the greatest moments of like and I even had one of my close family friends win Super Bowl MVP. So it's like those moments too go hand in hand. But, we had him on and we're asking him about like the RAF thing and everything, but they're, the connections they have with the UFC, their biggest guys that they have going for them. One of them probably pretty well. Your boy, who was one of the only people, I think 4 or 5 people to ever allow less than 2 points in a RAF match, and Frankie Edgar.
Frankie? Yeah.
Yeah. At
Frankie's the
that
man.
age too, you know what I mean? I'm not calling him old or anything like that, but at that age, you know what I mean? Like to be able to do that with some of the young guns that they have out there too.
Yeah.
That's why he's in the Hall of Fame, you know what I mean? That's, he's the cultural, he's on the Mount Rushmore of New Jersey MMA, guarantee you with Jim
100%.
Miller, yeah, there's nothing to really talk about in that sense, but
Frankie is the GOAT of
yeah,
or Jim Miller's got it. That was a crazy last performance, but
I know.
Frankie's the man. He does like I told you, I look up to like a lot of the wrestlers, and he has kids of his own, so I try to pick his
Yeah,
brain when I'm in his presence.
Tell Francisco I've been trying to get him on the podcast for a hot minute, and he's, keeps,
I
he's
will.
all, I got Fargo, I got my dad wrestling in RAF. Like, he needs to make a little bit of time for your boy to come hop on the podcast and, chop it up too. So I've been trying to set that up for a hot minute, but it just hasn't worked out because he's too big time for me. He's got Fargo wrestling, he's got, he's got his dad in all these main events and stuff. I'm like, bro, you got to slow down a little bit. You know what I mean? You're too big of a rock star out here.
Nah, I'll make sure. I'll chirp him. I'll make sure he gets on.
For sure. I
Justin,
appreciate that,
you got
bro.
to go
But
through Justin though. Justin will really be able to get to him.
I don't know what Justin's up to right now. He's probably, in the sauna right now listening to some
Listening to
Drake. So
Drake.
yeah, so I don't know. He was complaining about on the podcast saying none of his teammates listen to Drake when I was talking to him, and I was trying to walk him and give him other music choices to listen to, and then he roped me in. He, 10-7 to me into listening to the new Drake album, and now I'm spitting all these emotional spews to all these women out here that are interested in me. So that's all his fault. So he's getting the
Listen,
tab. He's getting the nails tab. He's getting the hair done tab. All these tabs are running up on me. He's getting the tab for it. So tell me, better get a finish and a fight bonus on his next fight, or the tab's going to run up a little bit too high for him.
he's gonna. Justin's the man. Justin is the man. I love Justin.
Yes, sir.
But
Too.
dude, I appreciate you having me on. I don't have anything to like leave off with. I just really do appreciate your time. I wouldn't put myself in the position to be here. There's a lot of fighters that are probably similar. So you reaching out to me, getting me on it means a lot, and I'll stay connected with you.
100%, bro.
We'll
I
definitely
always do
talk.
that. The greatest part about this is like I don't just do these podcasts and like that's that, and it's just like cold air. It's like pun intended to the podcast, but I also keep connections with, like, I hit Justin up all the time. I hit up Manny, check up on him even when he just had one of his losses when he's trying to get onto the Contender Series. Was like, bro, like we all know you're a savage. We all know you're going to get back there.
Yeah.
Like stay in the loop with all these dudes. Cade obviously is going to be defending his belt, CFFC. And some of the other people on. I work close with Bob Maloney on some of the podcasting and stuff in that realm too. So, I stay in connection with all these people that I bring on to the podcast, and I really appreciate you guys giving me the time of day to let me live out my dreams as well too. Because without being able to bring on fighters like this too, I'm just a guy talking about MMA at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So appreciate that. And if you could put in a little good word with your older brother too, that'd be pretty cool as well too. Because that's pretty cool. I am fascinated. What I say is like I'm like your brother's what 28 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm 29 years old. So I just obviously, 28, 29 years old. And, the Joe Pipers of the world that are from South Jersey, 20 minutes away from me. I don't know him personally, but those are the dudes Manny's the same age as me. Those are the dudes I'm fascinated by, the same age as me, right around the same area as me. And they're doing some of the biggest things for the biggest organization too. So tell your brother I said hi. He probably doesn't know who the hell I am or whatever too. But if he wants to come on and hop on the podcast as well, that'd be awesome to bring Eric onto the podcast too. And that was somebody Justin told me to bring onto the podcast too. And then I was like, there's no way he's going to answer a DM from me. You know what I mean? But, we'll see what happens. But if you can give the good word out for me, I'd appreciate that.
100%. I'll call him right after this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, brother. Well, I'll keep you in the loop. Let me know, especially too with staying in the loop. I need to know like fight news or anything. Do you have any fights planned, or you're kind of just still waiting in the flux with that stuff?
We were talking about doing like one of the next gen title fights for CFFC in August, but Nicolanti is fighting for the Contender Series, so my coach wouldn't be able to corner me. So I think that's just going to be prolonged, maybe to November.
Cool.
But that's why I want to stay active through other stuff like wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Like, I like CFFC. I'm not really thinking about picking up like a smaller fight beforehand, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that would be absolutely sick too. You win the next gen belt in November if that's how it plays out. I got 2 next gen champions as 10 podcasts, not even 10 podcasts under my bantam on the canvas podcast, and 2 next gen belt holders in you and Cade. So that'd be awesome too. And that's like a guy you said held you down in the background too. So you guys, take a belt picture together with 2 champs. That'd be a sick pic to drop on Instagram. That'd probably do some numbers too. But thank you once again, brother. Go back to your family and do what you got to do. But thanks for hopping on the podcast, and we'll definitely keep in the loop and keep in touch.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir, brother. Yes, sir.
Have a good one.
You too.